What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Pointless Sports Opinions. I'm Chase Youngwalter. Tell them who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm just kidding. This is producer Luke. And as you can see, we got a WWE podcast going.
Action figure.
Look at that. Yeah, Luke brought out his action figures. They got a bunch of crap all over them, but
they do.
They haven't played with them a long time.
Some whatever, who knows what. Some WWF flag.
Yeah, look at that. Classic 316 WWF.
The Rock, Attitude Era. If you don't know the Attitude Era, we'll tell you a little.
We're going to teach you a lot here.
Some heavyweight belt.
A world heavyweight title, which Ric Flair's kindly wearing, even though he's got yellow hair. Because I don't know where Luke put him. But
in the closet.
We're doing the top 15 WWE wrestlers of all time.
That's right.
We have some restrictions. There's no divas. We're doing only male wrestlers. Sorry if that's sexist. We also are doing from, what was it, 1985, the first WrestleMania?
Yeah.
1985 on. And if, say they were with the company just for a little bit, we still count their whole careers. So, like, Sting is not going to get discredited just because he was with WWE for a couple months.
Which I don't have him in there.
I don't... what? Okay, all right. Let's get it started. Luke, what's your 15? Let's hear it.
No. Honorable.
Oh, honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions,
all right, give me your honorable mention. Who didn't make the list?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar didn't make mine either. I'm glad. I thought he was going to make yours. The Beast Incarnate.
That's right. Andre the Giant.
Oh, that's a tough one there, champ. That's a tough one. I don't know if I agree with that.
Edge.
Edge didn't make mine. No. I think Edge was a little overrated.
You're going to love this one.
Am I going to get pissed?
Mr. Ass. Billy Gunn.
Speaking of ass, Mr. Ass was ass. I'm glad that piece of ass did not make the top 15.
So we've been talking about Billy Gunn this whole week, and that's why I said this.
The whole week. He's a shit wrestler.
He's an ass man, that's why.
He's an ass wrestler.
He's not an ass wrestler.
He's an ass
man, folks. And Sting.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
like I said, he didn't make it. So.
I can't believe Sting.
But I never watched from when he was wrestling in WCW.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's a lot of things. I had to look up a lot of stuff for Sting. But my one, I have Owen Hart. Owen Hart.
Piece of trash.
He's one of the best technical wrestlers of all time. Never got the illustrious WWF title, but he had every single belt before that. And then he tragically passed away. Luke Baker absolutely hates...
I hate Owen Hart, folks.
Nobody knows why, but apparently Owen Hart's just a piece of garbage.
He's a piece of trash to me.
I don't know why.
I know he died and all, but I just never have liked Owen Hart.
I can't do it. Dusty Rhodes didn't make my list. That might have been kind of like you with Sting. I didn't watch his stuff. I never was a big American Dream dude, so... he didn't make it. And then Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
I just felt like he was underused. So he needed more. I mean, I'm not a big title guy because that's all booking. I mean, everybody knows.
Exactly.
Everybody knows it's fake. But that's a big booking thing, and he just wasn't booked to win. All right, Luke, who's your 15?
CM Punk.
Okay, that's a good one. Mr. Pipe Bomb.
Yeah, the Pipe Bomb really what brought his career out, I think.
Literally, the PG era was boring.
Yeah.
It was horrible. From 2008 to probably now they're still struggling with it.
Now it's really struggling. I think.
Yeah, now it's pretty bad. But I mean, that era was pretty bad. But CM Punk really brought out the best.
And I think his match with Cena at Money in the Bank.
Dude, there was
the greatest one.
There were so many botches in that match, but they weren't. It was just overshadowed by the fact that the crowd reaction.
The crowd, yeah.
You don't see crowds like that anymore. No. You don't. Especially in double. Yeah, nobody gives a shit anymore.
Well, what Ziggler and Rollins.
The best part, they're counting down the clock, then they shut off the clock, and then it's a huge freaking ordeal.
We're now down to...
Oh man, I like CM Punk at 15. He didn't even make my list, so my 15's Kane.
All right.
I just had to put him in there. He's been with the company forever. He's seen numerous amount of gimmick changes. He had underappreciated rivalries. You remember his rivalry with Matt Hardy? He had a really good rivalry with him. Shane McMahon, that was a good one. They had some good last man standing ambulance matches. And then, of course, The Undertaker, him and Undertaker, the first Inferno match in WWE history. And the Brothers of Destruction. And I don't know, even whenever he did Team Hell No, that was a big hit too. So he's still relevant, even though he's been gone.
The mayor now. Speaking of it,
Mayor
Congrats
Knoxville
to him.
now. Congrats. Yeah. So all right.
My number 14 is the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
The only reason why I say that, I mean, we never really saw him like
No.
with Hogan and that, but I mean, I just think he was always up there with Hogan.
I mean, he beat him at the WrestleMania, and when it comes to fan support, I'll put him up there. But his moveset was just shit. I hated Ultimate Warrior in the ring.
Just bouncing off the ropes.
I mean, he was the definition of the 80s steroid junkie on freaking cocaine probably before a match. But, I mean, crowd reaction-wise and merchandise sale, he's probably still
he
up
was
there.
Up there with Hogan.
Yeah, he was probably one of the most known guys, like with Randy
It's crazy,
Savage
though,
and
because
all them.
he came out that Monday Night Raw, he said his speech, and then died the next day.
Tried shaking the rope, couldn't
Died
shake
the
it,
next
and
day,
then just
man.
croaked the next
It's
day.
kind of sad, but
It's really sad. But yeah, he was a very big, influential
it was
guy.
cool to see how he came back to the company.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
When him and Vince had that horrible relationship.
falling out. Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens a lot with Vince, I feel like.
Yeah, screws him. Let's talk about that a little later, folks.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be getting to that. Number 14, I have Andre the Giant. Listen, Andre the Giant, kind of new fans that have like the WWE Network and stuff like that, you'll watch Andre the Giant and you'll see him as like kind of like a backstage role type thing, or you'll see the match against Hogan at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
Well, you watch that match, it's complete ass. Horrible. It's more hype than anything. The wrestlers are it was just a bad match. Hogan's not really good in the ring. Andre had a broken back. Yeah, Andre's...
And I think what really set that, like, a different view is that documentary.
I put that in
HBO
here.
documentary. If
And
you have not seen that, go watch that.
And that changed my viewpoint of it, because
Yeah,
I didn't
definitely.
like. I was. I mean,
thought he was
we're a different era. Yeah, like we grew up in the ruthless aggression era. So like
the end of the attitude. And
what
stuff
we
like
see
that.
with Andre was I saw WrestleMania 3, but then we watched that documentary and I saw, holy crap, this guy actually had a move set. He wasn't just headbutt and move around couldn't move. So sad, get slammed.
But that was his age and how he was taking care of his body.
He had a tumor in his brain. He had a lot of
Drinking
problems.
all the time, doing stuff like that. So.
Man, watch that documentary. It was great. I'll tell you my 13. My 13 is Jericho.
Okay.
I put him 13. I want to put him higher, but there's so many good wrestlers in WWE history. I feel like he's kind of underrated, but at the same time, I feel like 13's good for him because he put on a good match. And he's always like a reliable guy, but he was never the guy.
He still puts on a great match for his age.
Man, and New Japan, him and Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny Omega. That was a great match.
Are going nuts, man. He's still doing it he's got a beer belly now and everything at 40 plus years old, and he's
got
killing
a Chris
it.
Jericho Cruise coming along now.
Fozzy or whatever,
Yeah, Fozzy.
or Fonzie. I don't know what the hell they're called, but yeah, I mean, the feuds that come to mind are him and Shawn. Him and Shawn had a great feud that actually won feud of the decade. And I just felt like he got pushed too early. He got pushed against...
I think it was in the right time.
He was a guy that beat Rock and Austin in the same night.
Versus Triple H in the nights and stuff like that. I mean...
I feel like once the fans, he was a heel. He was kind of like The Miz.
Yeah.
The Miz kind of got pushed too early. And if The Miz got pushed now, he'd be an amazing heel. Yeah, unbelievable. But he got pushed back then. We hated him for the fact that he was a crappy wrestler, not that he was a good heel.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel about Jericho.
My number 13 is Kurt Angle.
Ooh, you got him low, man.
I just think with him coming out with the Stone Cold Steve Austin is what kind of brought him out, and then whenever the fans started cheering the "You suck."
I don't like that.
That's when
I hate that. I mean, I get it. It's funny whenever he's a heel, but like the fact that he goes out as a general manager and just
does the yes crap.
Yeah, I'm like, this is just stupid. So
yeah.
I mean, I can agree with you there. Who's your 12? Because you're gonna love
Randy Savage.
Okay, I didn't have Randy Savage in my list.
The mic skills and then the in-ring attribute, like how he wrestled and stuff.
He was underrated in the ring. He really was. Randy was. I mean, he put on
the
great
elbow
matches.
drop, stuff like that.
Great matches. Him and Ric Flair, hands down, had the best match of WrestleMania 8, which was headlined by Hulk Hogan against Psycho Sid. And that was the main event, but Ric Flair fought Randy Savage for the title, and Randy won it, and it was a great technical match, and I didn't expect that out of Randy Savage, but Randy Savage he kind of gets put in with those guys that were like Ultimate Warrior and Hogan, but he was
shadowed.
He's overshadowed by those guys, but he was a better wrestler in general.
Some of them, yeah.
And he was just as good on the mic, so... My number 12 is John Cena. I'm sorry, I couldn't put him any high. This is as high as I can put him. He's done amazing things for the company. Absolutely amazing things. The whole Make-A-Wish You know, he's a great guy, great wrestler. But come on, man. Even like Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan, and they still made him do a heel change. John Cena hasn't done anything since WrestleMania 21. There's been no change in character since WrestleMania 21. He's been the good guy that never gives up. I get it. You know what? Hulk Hogan was also Hulkamania, but they're like, hey, Hogan, people don't like it anymore. You got to change. Cena never changed.
He did change. He came from the bad guy, the little chain gang word life.
That was for like a
nice
year.
Guy.
That was like a year or two.
No. That was from 2004 on.
And even that gimmick was, I mean, he was trying to be like an anti-hero, and then he
was great on that gimmick.
He was a He was a good anti-hero, and then once WrestleMania 21 hit, he turned from
Who was that against?
That was the first year he won against JBL.
Oh yeah, okay.
So after that, that's whenever he just adopted.
That is when he changed. You're right.
That's when he adopted just the never give up style, which I mean at first was well received, but he's been getting booed by fans since 2003, 2004, and
That's when he started. That's when he started.
That's not when he started.
2004.
Okay, from 2004 on, that's when they started booing him. But I don't know. I just couldn't put him any higher.
We're on 11, right?
Yeah.
My 11 is Mick Foley.
Really? Mine 11 is Mick Foley too.
Alrighty, there we go.
Good stuff. We agreed on one.
I just think whenever he'd wrestle, you knew there was always gonna be something bad coming out.
Oh man, and there's always gonna be a spot. I mean, we talk about spots a lot. Like, there's a good match, and then there's matches that have a lot of spots. Mick Foley was known for having a lot of spots.
I mean, the cage. We just watched a documentary that he told me about. Is The Rock and Mick Foley. And he was taking all those chair hits.
God, unbelievable. And they go backstage and show the gash that he had in his head.
Yeah.
Like, it's freaking 2-3 inches thick in his head. Mick Foley was just one of those guys that grinded it out in the business.
Yeah.
Like, he did not have... His clothesline was horrible. His running knee was atrocious looking. His DDT's not even that good. But the fact is the dude would go out there, he would take a bump, and if you told him, hey, Mick, we're going to have you win tonight, he'd be fine with it. Hey, Mick, you're going to lose tonight, and we're going to throw you off the top of a cage. He's going to be like, all right.
He's going out there and doing that.
And, you know, he got 2 good title runs at the right time during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's when it boosted him past WCW.
Yeah, I know, and Mick Foley was a main part of that, and, God, a guy that really... I mean, he got kind of pissed on in the business, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they just literally had him go out... like, his rivalry with Orton, he barely had any... spotlight.
It was a good rivalry.
It was a good rivalry, and Randy Orton just beat his ass.
Because that kind of brought his career up, Randy's career up with the Legend Killer and crap.
And that goes back to Mick Foley pushing people. You know, he pushes them above.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mick, great guy. I like Mick. Number 10.
Oh, my number 10 is Chris Jericho.
Okay.
I just think because he was the first undisputed champion, like we said, where he was brought into the era of the Attitude.
And he was really a nobody in WCW, too. And then
when he came out with The Rock.
Yeah.
Talking to The Rock.
And WWE just turned him into something.
Yeah, they did. The fans. So.
That was, yeah. He had a great pop, too. Like, we always forget, like, blonde hair Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
That dude was awesome.
This one right here, folks.
Yeah, he slammed through a table right now. He's got really hard nipples.
And there he goes.
There he goes again.
There he goes.
My number 10 was Triple H. I put Triple H number 10. I felt like I put him low, but then my 9 through 1, I was like, okay, I can't move any of these guys around. Triple H, he was a great change of pace in the early 2000s from Rock and Austin. Because the last thing that would have been bad is if we got tired of Rock and Austin, but nobody ever did because we had stuff like this.
I think the third one was pretty crappy though. Rock and Austin.
Oh yeah, but that was. I mean, it was predictable.
You knew
what was going to happen. And Triple H, he would. I feel like he would have been up there with Rock and Austin if he always got hurt at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like he tore his ACL during the power trip fit thing with him and Austin. You know, and like. He would always tear his ACL or tear his knee or whatever the hell it was at the wrong time. But, I mean, he was also part of the biggest group in WWE history and probably the greatest faction in WWE history.
He's in a lot of them.
And
DX,
Evolution. And then, but at the same time, like, he was a great heel in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But he was kind of overbooked. You know, the Evolution era, it was kind of overbooked. He was literally the champion.
It was, but I thought it was great.
He was the champion from WrestleMania, what was it, 19 to 21?
Yeah.
Like, that's a 2-year stretch where he would lose the belt for like a month and then
go back to it,
get it right back. Which,
exactly.
I mean, I guess it kind of helped.
Well, look who he was around, though.
Yeah, it helped the
Orton, Batista,
it helped
Ric
the
Flair.
Evolution, like, mantra, like, hey, we're the best team.
Yeah.
And I guess it was really cool when Batista took the belt from him, but
yeah, that was really cool.
that was a good match.
The Hell in a Cell match and then WrestleMania.
It was great matches, but I don't know. I feel like Triple H, he couldn't crack my top 10.
We're on 9, right?
9.
My number 9 is The Undertaker.
Ooh, you got Undertaker low there, champ.
I just think he owned all the gimmicks he had.
He did.
Even though I think that one where he was with Hogan, I think that was kind of a gimmick.
Which one?
Just like when he first started coming out. Just what he looked like, I thought.
Yeah, like the mortician.
His clothes and
the
stuff.
The Western mortician.
Yeah,
thing.
and then the Attitude Era. That was a great gimmick.
Yeah.
The demon, devil thing and stuff like that. And then
corporate
the Badass.
Yeah, American Badass.
That was a good one. Riding the bike, doing whatever he had to do.
Underrated
Lesnar.
gimmick. He didn't have it for that long. It's like 99.
We thought it was going to come back here.
It should have. It should have. Kid Rock.
Last WrestleMania.
Kid Rock said some
Cena.
choice words or something, and they canceled it. But, yeah, Undertaker's, man, I got him higher up than that. My number 9, I have Bret Hart, the Hitman. Listen, he was technically sound. He had great matches against Austin, but for me, Bret Hart was a good superstar for the 80s and 70s, but he was in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Bret Hart would have been perfect for the Hogan, Macho Man, Mr. Perfect era, you know, where it was like, hey, be a good guy. Like, when Bret Hart was
all about the crowd.
When Bret Hart was getting into the business, he was getting into the part where it was like, okay, it's not cool to be a good guy anymore. You have to be like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like, people liked Austin because he'd give people the finger and, you know, beat up everybody.
Yeah.
And people didn't like Bret Hart because he'd be giving little kids sunglasses, you know. But the one thing I'll give Bret Hart is he pushed anybody over.
Yeah.
Like, the thing with Austin.
His matches were great.
His matches were always really good. Like, him and Austin, like, people underrate that match. That submission match where Austin's bleeding out of his face and he passed out.
Yeah.
That was such a great match, and Bret Hart agreed to push him over. And then, of course, the Montreal screw job happened, which during that, Bret Hart became a heel. He became a heel with the whole Team Canada stuff with him, Jim Neidhart, and his brother Owen, which I thought was...
The Hart Dynasty?
Yeah, which I thought was freaking hard for him to do since he was always a good guy, and then he chose to do that. I thought that was cool for him.
Turn on, another documentary we just watched by Chase, the Hart Dynasty, Hart Shadow,
Bret the Hitman Hart, something on YouTube,
Hart Shadow or something like that, and that was just, it kind of changed your view on that match.
I hated Bret Hart. I thought he was overrated. I really always thought he was overrated. I watched that documentary. I'm like, okay, Bret Hart. He actually. I mean, Stu Hart he's notoriously known for being like one of the hardest trainers in WWE history, and Bret Hart was his son, you know, so Bret Hart was going through all that crap, and that's why Bret Hart was so good in the ring.
Yeah.
All right, number 8, who's yours?
Triple H.
Okay.
Like we already said, I just think he was the face of the company from 2000 on.
He was.
DX helped him. Evolution
Even
helped
that
him.
Renewal DX that was a big hit too.
Yeah, 2007 and on.
That was awesome. Like, I mean, even though they were both old, like, it was cool to see that.
Yeah, it came out.
They would always steal the show.
They the Spirit Squad or whatever and stuff like that. They just still brought a good match.
Yeah, go out there and they push people over too. They had a good rivalry with Rated RKO.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Good one. I like that. My number 8 was Kurt Angle. I mean, me and you kind of already talked about it. He was like the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
By Wrestling Observer. He's had such great. He was good on the mic. But it was like he was so, like you knew it was so fake that it was funny to watch him on the mic.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Angle was just goofy to watch on the mic. Like
I think Stone Cold pushed him. Stone
Cold would also push him on the mic. He was underrated. Like I watched an interview with him, and he's like, I'm not even funny in real life. He's like, I don't know why people think I'm funny. He's like, I was good on the interviews. I don't know how. Like I got pushed by other people.
Yeah.
But man, he had such great matches. Him and Shane McMahon at King of the Ring. You still talk about that just because it was a shit show with all the things that weren't supposed to happen. The glass
was supposed to break on first hit,
and
but they
fell
changed
on his
it
head
because the fireworks were going to pop it out.
And even the end of the match, like Kurt Angle slammed him from the top of this little. They had a board set up on the top rope, and he Angle slammed him off the top. It was badass. And then of course him and Shawn at WrestleMania 21. I thought that was the best match of the whole card. Shawn was in the freaking ankle lock. It had to be 10 plus minutes, and it's hard to sit a hold that long and make it interesting. But somehow Kurt Angle, like the way he would do the ankle lock, the way he would show emotion in the ring, he was always
just did it. Yeah.
He just did it. He was just so freaking good.
Yeah. My number 7 is John Cena.
What?
Yeah, John
I'm in
Cena,
shock.
big dog.
You put John at 7?
Yeah.
How? Why? What? Okay, I want to hear this.
The modern day Hulk Hogan.
I can agree. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? From the, what do you call it? The bad face. What do you call it?
Heel
to babyface. I just think the babyface, like you said, helped him.
It did a lot, and he plays that role perfectly. And
yeah.
I mean that
the Make-A-Wish is his biggest thing.
That truly is who he is. Like, he's such a good guy. But I mean, it was the anti-hero phase, and you know, I mean, man, 7? I can't believe you didn't put him 1. This is a big deal here. Luke loves John Cena.
Favorite wrestler.
All right, my number 7 is Hulk Hogan. I put him 7. He's horrible in the freaking ring. Like, if you're a fan of wrestling, I mean, he always put on a show. Don't get me wrong. He always put on a show. He was in the business he was the face of the business for 10, and probably the longest run that we've seen in like a television.
Would that be a dynasty?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, dynasty.
Or
decade. I mean, not dynasty.
The only thing I can compare it to is like Bruno Sammartino, but that was like back in like.
And we're not talking about him.
We ain't talking about Bruno. No, he didn't make the cut, even though he's an amazing wrestler. But he was just so bad in the ring. But at the same time, I have to give it to Hulk. Choosing to go heel. I don't know if you knew this, because I didn't until like 2 days ago, but when Hulk Hogan went to WCW, he was Hulk Hogan for a couple years before he switched to the NWO. It wasn't like an instant switch.
Yeah.
And towards the end, people were booing Hulk Hogan. People were booing. Like, Hulk Hogan would go out and do the fan thing, and people didn't like it. People didn't like it, so
they had to change.
Eric Bischoff called him and asked him if he wanted to do the NWO gimmick, and he said no at first and then agreed to it. He thought he was going to get buried, but no, he did it. Thing. I think that's the biggest heel switch in WWE history in the history of wrestling, is when Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania turned on the fans and leg dropped Randy Savage. So it was
came out, yeah.
But
Lex Luger,
and also towards the end of his career, it seemed like he had better matches than early on. Him and Rock. That's the match I put in here. In the ring, it was an okay match. It wasn't anything special. They didn't do anything special. But if you watch that match and you listen to the crowd reaction, there's just something.
It was, yeah.
There's just something different about that match. You think it was the main
because of Hulk Hogan was the guy. The Rock was the guy at that age.
The Rock was getting
two
booed.
Different ages,
and like The Rock was at the peak of his career.
Yeah.
And he was getting booed because fans didn't know what to do. It was either Hogan or Rock. And man, that I have to say, like, biggest pop and like most hyped match was in like the history of wrestling is probably Hogan Rock. So Hogan was my number 7. I'll say my number 6. I had Sting. I put Sting in. I had Sting in at number 6. He did nothing in the WWE really. I mean, he had a big pop whenever he came out and finally joined WWE. He should have joined them so much sooner. He would have had such a great career. They were in talks for him coming out at the end of WrestleMania 17 against Rock and Austin. He was in like contract negotiations because, of course, that's towards the end of WCW, and you know people were getting bought out, and they were going to see if Sting would come out, but instead he went with like an independent program instead.
Well, TNA later on.
But I mean, you ask people like Ric Flair, you ask people like The Undertaker, and they say the greatest wrestler. They put Sting really high up there just because
Rick was fighting him.
Rick had some great matches with Sting. The problem was like just WWE fans like me and you, we didn't get to see him.
Yeah, that's why the WCW. I mean, he was TNA when we were around, but TNA, that's older Sting. And then we finally saw him, and not so much. Buckle bomb by Rollins.
Buckle bomb and paralyzed him from the waist down. Yeah, that was bad.
He's talking about a comeback now with Undertaker.
Is he?
Yeah.
I would love to see him come back.
He says he thinks he could push Undertaker one more good match.
He was in his 50s when he came into the WWE, and he was putting on better matches than half the damn roster.
Yeah.
Did
he win the belt?
No.
No.
He was supposed to win it that night against Rollins, but he told the ref, I can't feel my legs, and then they kind of scrapped that. Yeah, they scrapped that idea. All right, who's your number 6?
The Rock.
Okay.
His promos were great. Rocky Maivia was a little little something.
It's the first gimmick, you know.
Yeah. And then he came to The Rock. Hollywood kind of pushed him away, though. I think if he would have stayed, he would have been over Austin.
Oh, easily. My number 5 is The Rock, and I mean, I think that's perfect. I'll just add to what you said. His mic skills, I think he's the greatest superstar in the mic of all time.
Over Rick?
I put him over Rick. I put him over Hulk. I put him over Randy Savage. I put him over everybody just because he just had something different to him. He had comedy. You know, Hogan would go up there and just spit the whole eat your vitamins.
Hey, brother, yeah.
Go nuts, screaming at the camera. Rock always seemed cerebral with it. You know, he always...
normal, and then he would get into something.
He would get into something, and he was always freaking hilarious.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't, like...
He was always so good, and he would always come up with new stuff. It was never the same thing repeated.
Hotel, Jabroni Boulevard.
Nothing was ever repeated, but like you said, I feel like he kind of sold out. You know?
With Hollywood.
And like the fans see that. One of his last matches in the WWE before he left to do that, what was it, the Scorpion King or whatever.
Like that.
Before he left to do that, him against Brock fought at SummerSlam. I don't know if you've seen that match. But Rock got booed. Lesnar was the heel, and Rock was getting booed as the face.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that happened in his career. And then, obviously, he left for a while. I feel like he just kind of sold out, and he would be a lot higher on this list. It was cool to see him come back a couple years ago, but, I mean...
Cena and him, and...
It was just a consistency.
That was kind of another Rock and Hogan match.
It was. It had that... I didn't
see... It's the same thing.
I liked the result of the first one, too, because nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw, like, I saw that match.
The Rock winning?
Yeah, I saw that match. I'm like, okay, Rock's fighting John Cena. Okay, he's a part-time wrestler. He's not going to win.
Yeah.
And then he went out there and beat John Cena, and it shocked everybody.
Yeah.
And then they had the grudge match.
Rematch, yeah.
Which, I mean, was predictable. All right, who's your number 5?
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart? You put him all the way at 5? Man, you must have really loved that documentary I showed you.
Like, yeah. He was the people's champ before he got screwed.
He was. Bret Hart used to get popped.
It really changed my view on him. I've always liked him, though, but I just think it even changed it more.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought he was white bread, and, you know, because me and you, what we would always see the same damn thing was the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
That's all we'd see.
We didn't know anything about behind it, what happened. We just knew he got screwed.
God, that was such a good rivalry. I still think that's the best rivalry in WWE history. I put that over Rock and Austin, man. Shawn against Bret, mainly because it was real. They actually hated each other.
They hated each other.
They did not like each other.
Number 4?
All right. My number 4, I have The Undertaker. I wanted to put him higher on the list, but, I mean, my last 3 were just, I couldn't put him any lower. He was what he portrayed. He was a phenom. Like, Undertaker is the guy that, think about all the work he put in. Like, he went from wrestling Hogan to wrestling John Cena to wrestling Roman Reigns. Like, that's
Lesnar.
All those eras that he has went through. He shouldn't have lost to Lesnar. I'm sorry. He should have lost to Shawn or Triple H.
CM Punk?
CM Punk at WrestleMania. There's so many. That WrestleMania streak was hands down one of the best. It was one of the things that kept me through this.
You didn't know when it was going to end.
Yeah, it was one of the things that kept me through this kind of crappy era of WWE.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll go out there and be like, okay.
His early 2000s or late 2000s were pretty good matches in WrestleMania.
Yeah, he had a lot of good
Batista
he had a good match with. And then the 2 matches with Shawn, I still think they are the greatest WrestleMania matches.
The Hell in a Cell with Triple H and Shawn.
Triple H, yeah, that was a good one too. He had he was a part of the first Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Bad Blood against Shawn Michaels, and that was a big match.
That was a good one.
He was always a part of all the big matches. And you don't see big guys like he's 6'10"?
Yeah.
6'9". He was a tall dude, and he'd be jumping over the top rope. He did that old school thing. Look at it. He's sitting up here with the title belt around his waist, the bloody shovel, and like you said earlier about the gimmicks, man. Like, I kind of like the Western Mortician thing. I thought it was a little cheesy at first, but
just how he came out was sloppy.
It was. But I mean, Paul Bearer helped him immensely. He had a great manager with that. Just seems like every single storyline that Undertaker was a part of was good. You know, from the corporate ministry to the American Badass to what we have him now. I'm glad that he wrestled again after that Roman Reigns fight because, damn, that would have been...
just left his stuff in the ring and walked out.
That was hands down one of the worst
You thought
matches.
He was done.
That was a horrible match.
Yeah.
That Oh god,
how he kept getting
so
up.
bad when they were trying to do the tombstone pile driver reversal thing, and they're just laying on the ground because Undertaker couldn't pick them back up.
Yeah,
that was sad to watch.
He couldn't get up at all.
But then he goes out and he puts on a great show against Cena. I know it was a 2-minute match or whatever, but it was cool to watch that. He deserved it. And then he goes out and has a match against Rusev. And now they're saying in the future he could have a couple more matches.
He looked good in that match too. The Rusev.
He did, and he fought Triple H
no, it's coming up, I think.
Oh, he's fighting Triple H?
Yeah.
He fought in that Madison Square Garden thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that
they're putting him in those little shows that they're not showing.
Yeah. I'm glad that he didn't retire in that Roman Reigns note, because he's truly the face of the WWE, or one of the many.
The many. And he's like the judge of backstage. Yeah. Everybody goes to him if they have a problem, stuff like that.
And he's always a chill guy. Yeah, you never hear any backstage problems with him.
No.
All right, who's your number 3?
4.
Oh, you're on 4?
Yeah.
My 4. Oh man, I did the wrong one.
All right. My number 4 is Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Great ring performer. DX, the feuds that he had, just all great around.
I thought you hated Shawn. What do you got him so high up?
I do hate Shawn. I just think he's a little better than Brett, in my opinion. But
I mean, yeah, I don't blame you. Well, my 5. Oh wait, no.
Just say that's your 3.
Oh, you want me to say my 3?
Well, who'd you do? What's your 4?
We were on 4.
Oh, you did the Undertaker.
Yeah,
okay.
It was Undertaker.
Yeah, you're number 3 then.
Okay. Number 3. I put Ric Flair number 3. And Luke knows how hard this was to put Ric Flair 3. I literally scratched him off and put him 1 again. And then I scratched him off and put him 3 again. And then I scratched him off and put him 2. And then eventually I decided on Ric Flair being 3. And the only reason I put him 3 is he wrestled too long in the business. And what is it? You always leave the fans wanting more. Ric Flair didn't do that. Ric Flair was out there mid-2000s. If he would have retired after the last Nitro, when him and Sting put on a great match, and he would have just been that GM role that he was in the early 2000s against Vince. If he would have done that, that would have been a lot better. But I mean, Evolution kind of saved his career a little bit.
Yeah. He was kind of like the manager for him, though. Even though he would wrestle.
Yeah, he would wrestle like occasionally. He won the tag belts with Batista, I think. But I mean, just all the accomplishments that this man has done. He is probably we're talking about overall wrestlers. He's probably the greatest wrestler of all time. I mean, the 30 for 30 on ESPN that they did.
I never watched it yet.
Oh, it was so good. So good. Just talks about his whole career and everything. His last match with Shawn, that was such a good story.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a good match.
And they literally, I think they milked Ric Flair for every single thing that he could do in the ring at that time. His body. I mean, Ric Flair, everything that would, his best moves were on display in that match against Shawn. Just to
when Shawn was super kicking him, said "I love you."
It was so good, so good. It's such a. I mean, you don't get good stories anymore, mainly because everything's been used.
Yeah.
So that was.
It's all reused now.
That was cool to see. Just to put it in perspective here, Wrestling Observer, they put out awards every year, and Ric Flair has 1 6-star match out of 5, and then he has 9 5-star matches, which is. That's unbelievable. Like, that's how many times that dude put on a 5-star match. That doesn't happen. It never happens. And he had rivalries with Ricky Steamboat and Dusty Rhodes that me and you, we didn't get to see. That's not promoted as much. Yeah. But, I mean, Ric Flair is just, he's one of a kind. And I'd put him higher if we weren't talking about WWE superstars. So, who's your number 3?
And he will beat, Cena will beat him for titles.
I think
Cena will beat him for titles.
Titles are bullshit. And Cena's never going to have 9 5-star matches.
Doesn't matter.
Cena's never going to be Wrestler of the Year again. Cena's never going to get that.
Cena will beat him for 17 times. 17 times.
Ric Flair in ring and on the mic was hands down 10-folds better than John Cena.
I think I'd rather see Cena as a all the champion with the IC he needs.
He needs to get the Grand Slam.
Yeah, the Grand Slam.
Like Roman Reigns has the Grand Slam.
All the Shield have it.
I don't understand.
All the Shield have it.
That's stupid that Cena doesn't have that. Who's your number 3?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Biggest
He's kind
face.
Of a hard guy to put on the list too.
Biggest face of the company. I mean, we already talked about it. Just how he was for the company early on, and then to the turn. So.
Yeah, that was big stuff. My number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'm interested for 1.
Stone Cold, he saved the business.
Yeah,
Stone Cold,
big time.
Personally, himself, destroyed WCW. They were losing in the ratings until...
Well, I think all of them did, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all...
But he was a big part. He definitely a big part.
Like, every single, whatever, storyline that was leading up to DX and all of it, you know, helped in it, but Stone Cold's the needle that broke the camel's back. You know, Stone Cold is the reason that they beat WCW. And he's undervalued when it comes to in-ring ability. He was good in the ring. I mean, Hulk Hogan was kind of like Stone Cold in a way, where he was really popular, but Hogan wasn't good in the ring. Stone Cold could tell a good story and get a good spot in a match, you know, and like I said earlier with him and Bret Hart, like that was early in his career.
Triple H and him were good.
Him and Triple H had good matches. WrestleMania 17, other than Hogan turning in WCW, Stone Cold's turn at WrestleMania 17 when he joined Vince McMahon at the end, I think was an even bigger heel turn than anybody could expect.
Finger to the face.
Yeah. And
to the fans, at least.
It was so cool to watch that. He was just such an amazing wrestler. Such an amazing wrestler. His career got cut short, unfortunately, when he walked out on the business after booking decisions with Brock Lesnar.
Almost had a broken neck.
And
like Lesnar, but...
he did break his neck against Owen.
Yeah.
Owen broke his neck, and that botched pile driver, that's why they don't do it anymore.
Yep.
But I think he's really sad. I wish he would have had one more match. I mean, I know they led up to the whole Rock thing with, hey, this is going to be the last match for Austin. But everybody says that's going to be their last match, and nobody ever really means that. But Stone Cold is one of the few guys that actually do.
He came back for that crappy match, Lesnar-Goldberg.
Oh, yeah, the ref. And he had the matches against Eric Bischoff or whatever when they were both GMs of Raw.
Yeah.
But other than that, I want to see a good I wish we would have had like a Stone Cold Cena match or Stone Cold CM Punk. Think about that during the prime. That would have been sick. But Stone Cold's my number 2.
My number 2 is Ric Flair. We already talked about him. The belts that he has, the awards, his mic skill are amazing. Up there with The Rock, like you said. So
he got such good promos.
Yeah.
I mean, Rolex wearing, jet flying, wheeling, dealing.
He'd do a flop on the ring, back up.
He was always, he would always put on a good show. Even when he was old, he would try, you know. Yeah. And he would be technically sound.
And then he went to TNA.
Oh my God, that was shit
horrible.
That was horrible. Don't watch any of those matches. That's just sad watching Rick do that. Yeah. But, all right, who's your number 1?
Mine's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, all right.
The best bad guy in the company.
Arguably, he is the best WWE superstar of all time.
Like we said, it was like Bret Hart was the good guy. They turned on him, and they started cheering for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Austin really started the whole, hey, good guys aren't fun to watch anymore.
Yep.
We don't want to see this guy go out there and say how much he loves the kids. We want to see somebody stun the boss or smack a fan. We want to see that shit. You know, middle fingers to everybody, slamming beer. We don't want to see somebody give their glasses to
coming
little kids.
Out with the one thing, the truck.
The truck, the beer truck and everything, like
the Zamboni.
And Austin. God, Austin was one of a kind wrestler, and I wish we would have gotten more matches out of him, or at least I wish I got.
Or we're around that era.
Yeah, I wish we would have got to see more of it. But my number 1, I mean, I think you already know. It's Shawn. Shawn Michaels. I think it was either between him and Rick. But I knew I had to put Austin too, just because what he did for the business. But it's between him and Rick. Ric Flair states that Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler of all time. And if one of the greatest wrestlers say that, that means a lot. Shawn is known for backstage problems.
Yeah, big time.
Big pill popper. He did a lot of problems with that.
Banging girls back then.
Banging girls that he shouldn't be. But after he has the best resurgence in WWE history. Like, think of all the second chances that WWE's given, you know, with like Chris Masters and stuff like that. People that get to come back. Nobody ever pans out. Shawn Michaels came back after that back injury, and he switched religions or something, became more of like a God-fearing man and like this family dude. And he just went out there and he stopped drinking, stopped doing pills, and just had the greatest second half of a career that you could ever see. Because he was an asshole. He was
a big time.
Such a huge asshole. Like, he ruined Big Van Vader's WWE career. Absolutely ruined it. Torched it because he told Vince that Vader was a horrible wrestler to work with. And then he goes and, like, he has that back problem, comes back, gets off the pills, and just... he starts pushing guys. That's all he did. He only had one World Heavyweight title run when he came back. That's it. Only one run. All the rest of them, he pushed John Cena in the matches. They had a good WrestleMania match when he was a part of DX.
They were the tag team titles.
They were tag team champions.
Champs, yeah.
He had a great match against Kurt Angle, as I stated earlier. And then I honestly believe that him and Undertaker, their second match at WrestleMania, is the greatest match in WWE history. Without a doubt in my mind. Just like the aura that sat around it. You knew Shawn was going to lose because of the whole career stipulations.
The Undertaker streak, yeah.
Yeah, and the Undertaker streak. The first time around, I could see Shawn pulling it out, but the second time, you knew he was going to lose. But still, that match just had so much emotion. And Shawn's another one of those guys, kind of like Austin, where he said he's going to retire, and he's done. He's done.
And then he came back, though. And then
when he come back?
Well, he retired because of the injuries.
He retired because of back injury.
Yeah.
He didn't retire like on his own terms.
Yeah.
But now he's done. There's been no sniffing of him coming back.
He's kind of in backstage
roles,
talking, stuff like that. But that's about it.
I mean, just to say some matches, him and Razor Ramon.
That was a good one. Yep.
At WrestleMania, one of the first
IC title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the first WrestleMania ladder match. I think it's like the second all time. And then him and Jericho. People don't talk about that rivalry. That was voted best rivalry of that entire decade.
Really? From
2000 to 2010 was him against Jericho, that short little feud they had for the World Heavyweight belt. And him and Jericho won like match of the year for the ladder match they had. He was just one of a kind. One of a kind wrestlers. You see a little trend here is that most of these guys aren't wrestling nowadays. It's because nowadays sucks ass. You hear that, Vince? Change your damn product, for Christ's sake. We're tired of seeing Roman Reigns. Do something, please.
Change the PG era.
Change the PG era. Let somebody say shit or something. That's our top 15. Tell us what you think.
What's your top 15?
Yeah, let us know what you guys think.
Comment down below.
Let us know. Like, subscribe, YouTube shit. And then also follow us on Facebook,
Twitter,
YouTube, and SoundCloud at Pointless Sports Opinions.
Twitch.
And then Twitch is
now.
Pointless Sports Opinions. Twitch.tv/Pointless Sports Opinions. And then, Twitter is PSO Sports 1.
Instagram's the same thing.
And we'll see you around. Make sure you check out all the other videos we have. We got a lot of stupid shit.
Top 15 NBA 1 and 2 if you haven't seen that.
Also got that. So thanks for coming, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Spread the word.